Okay, so today I'm working on this big hutch in our dining room slash kitchen. It just needs some cleanup and it needs a little love. I figured this was a good opportunity for me to kind of verbally process some systems that I have going on in the household and maybe talk about some systems that I put in place that have worked well to sort of keep me on the straight and narrow as far as like organizing and I don't know, holding the chaos off, fending off the chaos, holding it at bay, maybe not entirely fending it off. But I would love to just kind of chat a little bit about systems for organization and household management and a couple that have worked really well for me. So let's go ahead and grab the power tools and get into this. This hutch is not an antique, but it is, oh my goodness, it is kind of old. It was sort of like a fake built in this house that it was originally in. So it's like missing the back from it. I'm going to start out by doing something that's been bugging me for a while and see if I can troubleshoot these doors. They are inset doors and they looked really nice when they were not in our house. Our house is an old farmhouse and none of the lines in it are straight. Every single floor is slanted. Every single wall is asymmetrical. And on top of that, we live in a humid environment, and all of that kind of shifting architecture and humidity combines to make it really hard to have door frames that fit well and inset cupboard doors and anything like that that has, kind of a slim margin of error as far as the fit. So I think what I'm going to do is just take these off of the hinges and rehang them with the hinges on the outside so that there's just a tiny bit more wiggle room. And, hopefully that's enough that the doors will open and shut without me slamming them with all the force of my body. While this amateur carpentry is taking place, I wanted to just take a minute to chat in voiceover form about one of the most crucial systems that I've come to adopt for my household management, decorating, organization, what have you. It might not really be a system. Maybe it's just a super obvious thought. But it's that I have kids. I have little kids and they are my favorite thing on this planet, but they are also feral. I'm someone who loves antiques and vintage decor and oddities of all different kinds. And I just realized that I have to tweak my style preferences to work around my kids. And that was hard. It seems really obvious, but I'm kind of bullheaded and a lot of things got broken before I accepted that just because I want my depression glass displayed a certain way or I want my antique lamps on the kitchen table does not mean that that's what's practical at this stage of my life. Learning to adjust and adapt to what my kids are likely to destroy has been a learning curve, and I'm not going to admit how long it took me to just bite the bullet and acknowledge that my thought processes had to change. There's plenty of vintage and antique items that can be kid-friendly. There are plenty of ways to kid-proof the ones that aren't. It isn't like I totally have to sacrifice my preferences for my kids, but I'm definitely cognizant of organizing and decorating about what isn't going to cause frustration when I find myself grabbing things from kids all the time. It's just not worth it, and I want my kids to be able to live in a welcoming environment as well and not feel like their mom is constantly, running interference on them as they're interacting with their environment. Y'all, messing around with those doors and getting them functional took all the spare time I had that day. So it's the next morning, and I went outside to forage a little bit of greenery. My little hydrangea bush is starting to bloom, not quite, but sort of. So I wanted to get some buds to put some greenery in a vase. And this whole experience that I thought would take about 5 minutes max turned into a whole drama. I scared a bird out of its nest. It was a tiny little fledgling chipping sparrow, and it was not quite old enough to go out of the nest, but I spooked it without realizing that it was in there. And it flew out, and then it was flopping around on the ground, and the parents were panicking, and I was trying to catch it and get it back in the nest. And finally, I caught it off the grass, and I put it back in the nest. And then as I was trying to put it back in the nest, its two little siblings panicked and flew out too. So it took me forever to round up these daggone baby chipping sparrows that were just fluttering around the yard in a panic and get them put back in the nest. They're about ready to fledge, but not quite. And I was the one that spooked them. So I did not want to be the one that was responsible for them leaving the nest early. So I finally got them packed back in there, and I grabbed the hydrangea plants that I had already, or the little hydrangea twigs that I had already cut off, and I just skedaddled because it was not worth trying to cut anymore. I did not want to risk these birds flying the coop again, and I did not want to make the parents panic any more than what they already were. So what a dramatic incidence of trying to get some greenery for my little shelf. So after that stressful foraging adventure, I took my hydrangea buds inside and I just put them in a cup with some water. I didn't do anything fancy. And honestly, that's probably another liberating thought that I've had as far as interior decorating, I guess, and sprucing up your space and making an environment that you like. Greens are amazing for your heart and soul, and you should have them in your house. And I feel like stores gatekeep cut plants and flowers when you can just go outside with some scissors and hack some down and stick them in a cup of water. Why not? Maybe get permission if you don't own the plant, but otherwise, like, it's free. So I don't really know if this is going to look good or not, but I'm just going to do it anyway because I haven't really shook up the decor in this room, such as it is, in a while, really since we moved in, which has been 4 years. And I'm really bad about, like, if a project can't be fully completed to, like my dream restoration or whatever, I don't want to do anything. Like, I don't see the point in doing anything with it. And I'm trying to move past that because this house is an older house. It has a lot of work that needs done on it. Part of the reason why we got a good deal on it, I feel like, is that, am I doing a good job? I don't know. I'm not doing a good job, but I am doing a job. Part of the reason why we got a good deal on it is that it has a lot of work that needs done on it. And I'm just, it's going to be quite a long time down the road before I'm in this place where all the rooms are how I want them and all, everything's been updated the way that it needs to be and whoever. Like, for example, this entire room that I'm in right now, the walls need torn out down to the studs because it was originally a porch and it was not insulated. Like, when they turned it into part of the house, they didn't insulate it. And it is a huge, like, cold air source in the wintertime. There's a wood stove in this room. And even though there's a wood stove in this room, it's still one of the coldest rooms in the house because there's no insulation. It's hard to motivate myself to do a lot of, like, decorating in a room where I know we're going to have to tear out literally everything down to the studs and redo it. But realistically, that could be a project that is not happening for years, and up until that point, I stare at this room every day. My phone died mid-rant, but the point I'm trying to make, I guess, is that I need to move away from waiting until something is perfect or finished to make it visually interesting, or at least just a little happy spot, for your eyes to rest on as you're coming down the stairs to get your coffee in the morning. So in my household, there is myself and my husband, and we have kids. And you know how people are like, there's two types of people in the world and they marry each other. That could be true, and it probably is true for some things. But in this household, there's one type of person and they have married each other. And that is the type of people that throw crap everywhere. Both my husband and I are pretty disorganized, and we are really bad about just coming in and emptying our pockets. I'm going to go ahead and say that my husband might be marginally worse. He comes home every evening and he has like a full Lowe's hardware store in his pants pockets, and he just takes all of it out and he just scatters it to the four winds, and there's just nuts and bolts and washers all over every square foot of this house. And for a really long time, I was fighting an uphill battle because not only was I fighting my own inclination to throw things everywhere, but I was fighting my husband's inclinations to throw things everywhere. And the solution that I have come up with, and I have seen a lot of solutions for this, including just like being an adult and not throwing your things around, but that has not really worked for me. But the solution that I've come up with is this bowl. Okay, there's one bowl. We don't have drop zones for different things. There's just one bowl to roll them all. Oh, Atlanta. Arlo. He got scared. Come here, Bubby. Oh, I'm sorry. Guess the boy got scared. He does this with his tongue when he's feeling like all is not right with the world. It's okay. You can put your tongue back in. So this bowl, what happens with this bowl is that every single little thing that is small enough to fit in it, if it comes into this house and it gets thrown down somewhere, it will end up in the bowl. Right now, I cleaned it out not too long ago, but there's still a pretty good collection of things in here. We got a lighter. We got a pen. A singular earring. That's me. That's not my husband's. A die. And I just took all the hardware out, so there's no hardware. Normally, there's 70 million washers. What I do, instead of fighting and arguing, instead of fishing all of the bolts out of the bottom of the washer, when I find a pile of them somewhere, or my husband, if he thinks of it, if he finds a pile of them somewhere, I don't try to put them away, because if I try to put them away, I'm going to get distracted on the way to the place where they go. I just pick them up and I throw them in the bowl, and they're out of sight. You cannot see the contents of this bowl from regular person height. And it's just, they're gone. They're essentially gone. And I don't have to look at them, and I don't have to have the mental clutter, and I don't have to be annoyed at myself, and I don't have to be annoyed at my husband, and I don't have to be annoyed at my kids for leaving little things everywhere. So if there's something in there that got put in there that's important and somebody is missing some little thing, they can look in the bowl. Otherwise, if it goes unnoticed for a couple weeks and the bowl fills up, then I go in there and I sort everything out. I put, my jewelry away. I put, little toys and whatever it might be away. And if I'm feeling charitable, I return all of my husband's bolts and washers and nuts to his garage so that we can, continue the circle of life again. And it's great. It is probably one of the best things that I've done, like little adjustments that I've done for my sanity. And it, as somebody that's just really inherently chaotic, married to somebody who's also really chaotic, it has been a lifesaver to just reduce the clutter. So if you watch this video and you take one thing away from it, you need to hustle on out there and you need to get you a little bowl, a big bowl, and you need to put it somewhere out of reach of your kids or your pets or whoever's going to get into it. And every time you find something that you don't want to throw away, but you don't want to walk it to where it goes, you slap it right in there. You slap it right in there and you sort it out later. Folks, what did we learn? Number one, if you have kids, then adjust your style and your organization to accommodate your kids in such a way where no one will get frustrated. Number two, it's free to go outside and cut leaves and twigs and flowers to put in your house, and it will make your life a lot better, but just don't accidentally cause a bunch of baby birds to leave the nest too early because it will take you forever to collect them and put them back. And then number 3 is you need to get a big old bowl so that all of your loose little things can get thrown into it, and you will not be frustrated and sad about all the loose little things all over your house. That is all I have for today. If I come up with anything else useful, I will be sure to share it. So, subscribe in case I think of those things.